You was shock, gentle viewers. You was shock. Yes, I'm here again with I Played a Thing, Hokuto no Ken, for the Sega Master System. And I had a little technical problem that necessitated a restart, but here I am back on stage 4, punching a dude with an axe, and he's about to explode. He is already dead. Anyway, moving right along, as I mentioned before, this is Cassandra Prison, which is Raoh's prison for martial artists, where he pretty much just imprisons anyone in a rival martial art, and learns their secrets, and I'm getting my ass kicked. Oh, that's right, using kicks is a little easier to judge the distance on these guys, so I think I'm going to start doing that. I'm still going to die because I'm already down to no health, but oh well, we'll make do. Yep, first death of the IPAT. Let's try that again. As you can see, there are birds on this level, which is unique to Stage 4, and very annoying. Also, the axe guys, if I'm not mistaken, do a little better damage than your average fist fodder. And that's no good. So we'll just try and zone them a little better by using kicks, which I find a little easier to gauge distance with most of the time. And if it comes down to a choice, take the hit from the bird. This is Uyghur, who in the movie was Raoh's second in command, and you probably remember his fight with Raoh, in which he got his whips tied together and then his whole body sliced up. He should be a very big dude, but he's just small in this because I guess in non-boss scenarios the game can't handle giant characters. So yeah, in the movie Uyghur was Raoh's sideman, as I mentioned, but in the source material he was, or in the anime and comics, he was just the warden of Cassandra Prison. And these are two of the prison guards whose names I believe were Kasim and Zalka. Fairly minor characters, but just some more people Ken had to beat up while trying to rescue Toki. As if I didn't mention it before, Toki was imprisoned by Raoh, Toki being Ken's other adoptive brother. Toki was a very nice and merciful kind of guy, basically the Kung Fu Jesus. He went around using Hokuto Shinken to heal people. But for some reason we're going to fight him. I don't know why we're fighting Toki here, having just broken him out of prison. Ken and him got along quite well, but we have to anyway. And there are two ways to fight Toki. He counters and blocks pretty much everything you do, so you can either do it the cheap way, which is to stand in the corner and just kick repeatedly and trade hits like I'm doing, and you'll barely have enough health to win. Or you can do it the hard way, which means waiting for Toki to attack first and then countering his moves, which is the only other way to hit him consistently, but it's really hard, and if I try to do that, I inevitably die, so I didn't do that. Anyway, that brings us to Chapter 5, which is the story of Ken versus Souther. Souther was a sort of regional leader who called himself the Holy Emperor. He used Nanto Hooken, which was the greatest of the Nanto schools. And he was building a pyramid mausoleum using child labor, and basically just being a jerk and kidnapping all the kids in the region, which Kenshiro cannot abide. So we're gonna go punch some holes in him. But first, as usual, we have to wade through all of his mohawked fist fodder. And Souther's thugs often used flamethrowers, so naturally, as many bosses, we have to fight some flamethrower guys. There will be 3 sets of them, and they can zone you with projectiles, which is quite irritating. I lost way too much health to those guys, but fortunately I got a little bit back for beating them. A health power-up would be real nice, but I have not seen a single one in the game. Actually, I still haven't seen any power-ups yet. Naturally, when I'm recording, the game decides to be very stingy with the power-ups. Ain't that always the way, kids? You know, in this post-apocalyptic Fist of the North-style world, no one should ever have a mohawk. Because having a mohawk just guarantees you'll be splattered all over the landscape by Kenshiro sooner or later. Oh well, I guess it's part of the whole Mad Max homage. Pinning these guys against the wall sometimes works well, but it's dangerous. And I may die, I hope I don't. But getting through another set of flamethrower guys with this much health could be a bit problematic. But I shall be optimistic, for that is what we do here at IPAT. Still, a health power-up would not go unappreciated. Or an invincibility, that would be even better. Those are the only two kind of power-ups there are, by the way, health and invincibility. But it doesn't matter when you're not getting any of either, which is consistently the case this game. Managed to pin that guy against the wall, which is really effective against these guys, if you can pull it off, but not always an easy thing. And I'll have to go through just a few more thugs to make it to Souther, and hopefully I will be able to hold out. The fist fodder are generally not a big threat, unless they manage to pin you between two of them. So, we're looking fairly good. And yes, we have made it to Souther. Now the thing about Souther that's kind of funky is that he has dextrocardia. His heart is on the wrong side of his body, which means that Ken's pressure points are all in the wrong place, and so they didn't work. So the first time Ken fought him, he got his ass kicked. But later he was able to stick his hands into Souther's body and monitor his blood flow, and thus figure out that, hey, this guy's body is backwards. The game handles that by making his weak point move around. You notice I keep hitting him in different locations with different kinds of strikes? Normally hitting Souther doesn't do any damage unless you hit him exactly where his weak point is, and it keeps moving around. Every time you hit him, his weak point moves to a different place. I think right about now I have to hit him in the back, which means getting him to do his flying kick. Yeah, there we go. One more, and that should do it. Yes. Ken used one of Souther's Kung Fu Jesus merciful techniques to make sure Souther felt no pain as he died, because Souther had to kill his master, who was like a father to him as a kid, and that's why he grew up all fucked up and turned into a sadistic child labor-using motherfucker. Anyway, moving right along. Chapter 6 has no stage, it's just a one-on-one battle with our eldest adoptive brother, Raoh, who is glitched out graphically. That's no good. Well, apparently I have to fight the static version of Raoh. Okay. We'll have to redo this fight, I think, if I have the time and inclination. Anyway, Raoh is not a very gimmicky boss. He just does lots of damage and takes very little. But thus far I seem to be ahead. You can zone him with jump kicks, as with many bosses, and when he tries to jump kick you, you can usually counter it with a standing attack if you time it right. And we punch him in the chest. As the man says. And he thrusts his fist into the sky and releases his life force to the heavens to revive the dying world, because he's been beaten fair and square. As a batch of pixels, but I guess what can you do? And Ken finds his lost girl, Yuria, and carries her off very stiffly into the sunset, and they live happily forever after, or at least until Yuria dies of radiation poisoning. Yeah, that happens, unfortunately. Anyway, this is about half of the overall main Hokuto no Ken story. It's sort of the end of an era when Ken beats Raoh, and the story goes in a completely different direction after that. But up until the death of Raoh is all this game covers, and so that's all I'm going to be covering for now. Actually, let's see if I can't do another capture of the Raoh fight. I'll be right back. Okay, here's Raoh with correct graphics. Nothing new gameplay-wise, but at least now you can see what he's supposed to look like. Raoh was, as I mentioned before, one of Ken's adoptive brothers that he trained with, and one of his rivals for becoming the successor of Hokuto Shinken, the martial art Ken uses, because only one person's supposed to be able to practice that art at one time. And Raoh is, like, super strong and would have been a perfectly good candidate, except he was kind of a megalomaniacal psycho, a very might rakes right kind of guy, and that didn't work out, so Ken got the nod over Raoh, and Raoh turned into, like, a world-conquering total badass. And now he's going to send his soul to the heavens once again, and you've seen this stuff all before. But, Just wanted to show you what Raoh's supposed to look like. And that's pretty much it for I Played a Thing, Hokuto no Ken on the Sega Master System. Thanks for joining me, and that's game, Hendrix.